name is Justin, and I work on the NHL 13 communications team. We have in our audience right now, we have some community members and some winners of the NHL 13 First Look contest are here to join us today. We're looking to give you a nice sneak peek of NHL 13. We'll have plenty to come down the road, but we're going to focus mainly on gameplay today. Just to let you know, at E3, we will be on the floor, so be sure to check out all that good stuff that comes out of E3. For a quick sec, let's talk about the cover votes. The cover vote is currently in the semifinals. We have Malkin leading Giroux right now, and we have Rene leading John Tavares. It's pretty close, so keep voting. Voting for this round closes at midnight Eastern time. You can head to nhl.com/covervote to vote. With me is Dean Richards, who is GM of the EA Sports NHL franchise, and NHL 13 line producer Sean Ramjag Singh. So with that being said, let's kick it over to Dean Richards, who's going to talk to you about NHL 13.
For everybody coming and people listening in, we're excited to show you NHL today. So my name's Dean Richards. I'm the GM of the Team Action Business Unit for the EA Sports label here up in Canada. Our portfolio consists of the great franchise of Fight Night, the reinvented SSX, and NHL. A little history for myself is I've been since my career here at EA, I've been on the NHL franchise from the beginning. I've played hockey since I was 4 years old, played a little professionally in Europe in the 90s, which kind of dates myself, I guess. It's really about the passion that we bring to this game. And it's the passion of the team, the development team, and the ability for us to continue to push innovation, continue to raise the bar in quality, and always try to make the most authentic hockey experience. Joining me, as Justin mentioned, is Sean Ramjag Singh, who's been the line producer for the last few years on NHL. But before we get into NHL 13 and the great stuff that we're doing, I really wanted to touch on kind of a brief history of that innovation and that raising the bar of quality. So for us, it all started in this console generation with the skill stick. And that was really given that level of control that never was seen really before on team sports. And that was giving you the control over the players' hands, the NHL players' hands, and really giving you that creativity and access to the tool set that's available to NHL players, really around the offense and defensive capabilities. The second kind of innovation was EA Sports Hockey League, which really took connected experiences to the whole new level, where the fact for the first time in the first team sport, you could play, everybody was human controlled out on the ice. That really changed online in that connected experience. And lastly, around the physicality and the real-time physics, the first team sport to bring real-world physics, the physics engine built off the Fight Night engine, and brought that into our hockey experience, making it, again, more of an authentic experience when you're playing out on the ice. So what will NHL 13 do? How will we raise the bar? Well, we feel this is the biggest leap since the skill stick. And for us, we'll bring a major gameplay overhaul that captures the true flow of today's NHL. We'll focus on speed, creativity, and strategy displayed by NHL teams and players. We will also bring new, connected hockey experiences and services. But for today, we're only going to touch on the gameplay overhauls, and we'll get into more detail around those connected experiences and services at a later date. So our first gameplay overhaul is true performance skating, an all-new physics-driven skating system that will drive how your player moves on the ice. It will capture the explosiveness, top-end speed, and momentum displayed by NHL players. Let's talk about explosiveness and what I mean by that. Explosiveness is the ability for a player to go from a stationary state or a gliding state to a quick burst of speed. That all-important first step. It's amazing how players can get to accelerate extremely fast and especially those elite players on the ice. Let's look at some examples. Well, this first video is going to show a real-world example. Pause it right there, Duke. Of Patrick Kane, one of the most elusive players along the boards today in today's NHL. Just watch how subtle it is, but watch his quick first step, how he gets around the Philadelphia defenseman. This is actually the game-winning goal that won the Stanley Cup for them. In NHL 12, players pretty much go the same speed, whether they're from a standstill or a glide state. This is in slow motion, but watch how the player is consistent with his speed. There is no explosiveness or the ability to have that quick first step. Here it is in real time. In fact, the defenseman can match perfect step for step immediately. In 13, you will have that first step, that acceleration. Again, in slow motion, Patrick Kane stops. The first step, explosive, gets half a step on the defenseman. And this is it in real time. So let's turn it over to Rammer. We don't want to just keep showing you videos all day. We're actually going to go into live software here. He's going to take you through some examples of explosiveness in NHL 12 as a comparison, and then into 13.
Thanks, Dino. So just so we have a good A/B comparison like Dean mentioned, let's take a look at what explosiveness or lack of explosiveness, as you guys know, that was in NHL 12. So like Dean mentioned, pay attention to Stamkos in NHL 12 and what he looks like from a standstill, from a stationary position, and then also when I go into a glide and try and explode out of that. So there's explosion in NHL 12 from a standstill. Here's explosion out of a glide. Not a whole lot going on there. Compare that to NHL 13 now. Let's go to 13 real quick. Pay attention to Stamkos from the stationary NHL 13 and the way he's able to accelerate, explode out of that, get to top end speed quickly, and then also look when I'm going to a glide in NHL 13. And again, the way Stamkos is able to recognize there's pressure coming, I want to get to a spot, and again, explode out of that. So there is out of the standstill. I go into a glide in the neutral zone, see D-man coming over, and I'm able to accelerate again. So just quickly going to replay. Stamkos out of the glide, sees a gap that he wants to get to, and is able to get on his horse right away, explode, get to a spot. So there's the difference between 12 and 13. Again, really just trying to capture the explosiveness in NHL 13, which we didn't have in NHL 12, which led to a lack of player differentiation.
Thanks, Robert. So there you saw that explosiveness, that first quick step. But it's also about getting to the top end speed. As we know, hockey's the fastest team sport on the planet. You can go at tremendous speeds, and NHL 13 will capture that speed. Let's look at some examples in real world of what top end speed's about. In this first example, keep going right here, focus on Jannik Hansen. He's got tremendous top speed, but you also see the explosiveness of him getting up to that top speed, and we'll just run it and let it speak for itself. There's the explosiveness. Now he's at top end speed, basically from his own end, has the ability to walk around Dion Phaneuf.
As the Leafs fan shakes his head.
Pause it here. Again, top end speed and explosiveness were very consistent in NHL 12. You basically, from a glide state or a stationary state, you got to that top end speed quickly. But again, the top end speed wasn't the explosiveness that you just saw in the Hansen example. Watch Penner here. This is a slow motion, but again, very consistent. And in fact, I think the defenseman actually goes backwards faster than he goes forwards. Now we're going to watch it in real time and watch actually everybody go up the ice pretty much consistently the same speed. Pause it there. So let's take it over and pass it over to Rammer to see what that looks like in software.
Yeah, so let's take a look at NHL 12. Again, for a good A/B comparison of 12 versus 13. And again, watch what top end speed in NHL 12 looks like. Watch my speed, the speed of Stamkos relative to the defenseman. Watch how he's unable to get past him. Watch how the D-man can skate the same speed as Stamkos, going backwards, if not a little bit faster. So let's go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And again, doesn't look good, doesn't feel good, no real sense of top end speed there with Stamkos. Let's go into 13 for comparison. And now watch Stamkos, again from the standstill, watch him get to top end speed and what top end speed looks like in 13. Very different to what we just saw in NHL 12. And right away, he's pulling by the defense. So again, I just want to go to replay real quick. You saw the two-hand skate, NHL 12 with top end speed. Look at the difference in 13. Look at Stamkos, pump the arm, got the puck on. He's got the stick in one hand, pushing the puck out and going. So look different, feel different, make a difference. Ability to get by a defenseman with top end speed.
Thank you. So now some of you might be thinking at this point, well, it's just going to be a breakaway fest. Well, there's also things that we have to consider, and that's where momentum plays a key part. Momentum's important in any sport, but it's especially important in hockey when you're on the ice and you can travel at those speeds. And it's the relationship between that momentum that becomes key. It's the relationship that gamers will have that will either put you in the right position or actually take you out completely out of the play. And so let's look at some examples of momentum in real life and where we were in 12 and where we're going in 13. So in this example here, and this is something that's happened a lot in the playoffs, pause it there, is McQuaid on the defense gets his shot blocked. In real life, your momentum's going forward as you're taking this shot, and if it gets blocked, you're pretty much caught in no man's land as the play goes down the other end of the ice. Let's take a look. You'll watch the Philadelphia players just explode. That defenseman's caught out, creates an offensive chance, ends up in the goal. In NHL 12, whether you blocked a shot or even got hit, in this example by Lucic here, focus on the defenseman, your momentum never played a big part. You could easily get back into play without any chance of being caught out of play. So in this example here, he even gets hit, but he can immediately recover. No sense of momentum and no sense of the ability that you feel that you can catch somebody flat-footed or out of position. In this 13 example, focus on Pronger at the top. He decides to make a commitment. So this is what I mean by managing your momentum. He decides to make a commitment, commits too far as Williams cuts into the middle and creates an offensive chance. Comes over to make a big hit, goes too far, gets himself out of position. Momentum carries him too close to the boards, allows Williams to create a great offensive chance. Let's watch it real time. It's actually probably what would happen to Pronger anyways if he got caught out of position, which is why it's extremely important to manage that momentum of when you want to press up as a defenseman or actually come back. So let's look at some examples in 13 around momentum.
Thanks, Neil. So in NHL 13, momentum is the game within the game that we wanted to create with our true performance skating and the explosiveness and the top end speed. So it's not a breakaway fest, it's not a turbo button we have in there. So as I circle around here, as Stamkos circles around, it's going to be on Justin with his D-man. For those of you that like to play D in the A Sports Hockey League, pay attention here. It's about reading the speed, the player that's coming at you, how fast it's coming at you, and then how you maintain your gap, so gap control. So if Justin overcommits, I should be able to blow by him with Stamkos in this first example. We'll see what happens here as I loop around. If he pivots too late, I can get by him. He's actually out of the play. Let's do that one more time. Justin realizing that I have Steven Stamkos. If he tries to manage his gap a little bit better, understanding that I can explode out of my turn here, let's see if he has a better job staying in front of me. So Stamkos coming around. He turns earlier, manages his gap. Now he's in good defensive position to play defense. So you, as a defenseman now, need to understand how fast the player's coming at you, who's coming at you, what his top end speed is like, how quickly he can accelerate or explode, and then manage that gap to play proper defense. Already when we're playing the game, this is one of those meta games, that game within the game that you need to be conscious of all the time when you're playing NHL 13. So you'll see this later on when you give it a try.
Thank you. So we've talked about explosiveness, top end speed, and now momentum. And with the changes we've made to speed, gamers have to be more aware of that relationship between speed and control. simply put, the faster you're going, the less control you have over your mobility. Make sense? And it also lessens your control over things like your shot accuracy and also your passing accuracy. So if you're screaming down the wing and you try to make a 50-foot pass, cross-ice pass, it's going to be less accurate than if a player gets under control, gets into a glide state, and makes that pass. As you see the flow in an NHL game, players constantly get up to their top speed, get into a glide state, get under control, and either make a play or continue on with their speed. Let's look at some examples of speed and control. We're going to look into a video first. We're going to show a real-life example. The first one is David Booth, who drives wide on the defenseman, gets up to his top-end speed, gets a step on the defenseman, but his momentum and control is actually lessened, and he actually can't cut to the front of the net. It actually takes him too far where he wants to go. In NHL 12, again, your top-end speed wasn't necessarily that breakneck speed. It was very consistent, but you can pretty much cut on a dime. You can actually cut on a 90-degree angle. When you're traveling at top speeds, that's nearly impossible. And once you cut like that and you're under that control, you also had a tremendous amount of accuracy to either pass or shoot. Let's look at what NHL 13.
Thanks, Tino. So I'm going to take Steven Stamkos again. I'm going to get to top end speed, get to about the face-off dot in the offensive zone, and then try and cut in as sharply as I can. Watch how momentum and physics plays into this turn. So I get Stamkos going top end speed and gets to the circle here and try and cut to the net. I barely got to the front of the net, got to the post, right? I want to show you this in replay real quick. So Stamkos coming down, full speed, gets to the outside, he goes to cut in. So now we've got the laws of physics working against him, momentum working against him. Actually look at his right skate there as he's trying to cut back into the net. Watch the skate spray as he's kind of almost drifting like a car as he gets to the front of the net there, right? So in NHL 12, I could have got to the dot here, cut in on a dime, got to the front net, got to where I want. So think about how this changes gameplay as well. When you see a guy who gets the corner going wide on you, just like we saw in that David Booth clip, you don't need to follow him to the outside. You know that for him to have a scoring chance, he's got to get to the front of the net. So you can pick your line and try and meet him right at the post there, right? So again, understanding how top-end speed, how explosiveness, and how momentum and physics all play together allows you to play, to adapt your game because the game becomes more predictable based on those elements.
Thanks, Rammer. Just to add to that as well, as you're going at the top end speed and you want to make that sharp turn, we'll actually give you that feedback in the control. It'll rumble. You can actually lose your blade. The physics, you actually can lose your footing and actually slide into the end boards there if you're trying to cut too harsh. So it actually plays an element there. Plus, if you're a defenseman, you might only have to give him a little shove, and again, he'll lose his footing. So again, it's really about that relationship between speed and control. So let's talk about what that means as a full package, when it comes to creativity. So to date, we've given you that access and control over an NHL player's hands with the skill stick and the ability for you to create some pretty cool moments both on the offensive and defensive side of the puck. With true performance skating, we're now giving you that control and access over their feet. And so really, as we jump into NHL 13 while I speak here, go ahead. Just look at the creativity that Rammer has now with the puck and how fluid and how great that is. And really about giving that full tool set with both your hands and your feet that NHL players have. And that creativity, I can't wait for you guys to try out because we've seen some special stuff already, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. But we feel that creativity and that kind of tool set that we're now giving access to our gamers is a game changer and something that is something that access that gives us that big leap from 07 in the skill stick. We have now full access to that. And again, this is alpha software, so still lots of time to tune and polish, but look, we're excited about where we are right now. And I can tell you guys are excited to get your hands on that and try that as well. Thanks, Rammer. So there are two elements to capture that flow, the true flow of today's NHL. The movement around the ice, as you saw with true performance skating, we feel is a game changer. But with that, we also want to focus on the AI and what's driving the players' reactions to situations on the ice. AI was a major focus for us. And in fact, we spent more time in our AI this year than the last 3 years combined. And that AI focus is EA Sports Hockey IQ. And it significantly improves our player and goalie awareness and drastically increases our team systems available for players to use. So let's look at player awareness. So in this example here, as we're going to focus on Malkin here on defense, in NHL 12, players were only focused on the immediate proximity of where they were. Mainly, they were focused on the puck. Here, Malkin's aware that Sullivan along the boards has his guys. He's aware, 2 steps ahead, he's aware of what's behind him and who has everybody picked up. So what is he going to do? He's going to play his team system of picking up this forward and moving back with him and pretty much eliminating an offensive opportunity. Everybody has their player, everyone takes their point. In NHL 12, again, so focused on where the puck is and what's immediately around him and unaware of what's going on around him, is you'll see that forward just near the blue line there is going to step up because he's so focused on the puck and he's going to give up an odd man rush. Go ahead, dude. All he cares about is the puck, and now he's just not focused on what his role should be in picking up Malkin there, which then allows a 3-on-2 going the other way. And this is what it looks like real time. In 13, players are aware of everything that's going on around them, not just focused on the puck. As you'll see the puck coming on the right-hand side here, pause it there, Duke, where that blue triangle is at the bottom there. You'll see that these 2 forwards here will pick up their man. They'll recognize that everybody has their guy, which then allows, in this 1-3-1 strategy, allows that defenseman to step up at the blue line, which is part of this team system, and allow to take the puck away. Either that or force the player to dump it in. Again, this is real time. And that was the strategy that Tampa Bay had against that Philadelphia game where Philadelphia just sat in their own zone for about 2 minutes, the 1-3-1. So that was player awareness. So goalie awareness. There's 2 parts to the goalie awareness. The first one being their ability to also not be focused on the puck so much and actually have the ability to understand potential scoring threats. And the second one is really their ability to adjust after the puck has been shot. So we'll go into both of those. So in this first example, pause it there, Duke. You'll see Mike Richards down in the corner who's going to get this pass, and then you have, I believe that's Carter on the far side. That's also highlighted. And in this game here, goalie awareness is, in NHL 12, they would just be focused on the puck. In real life, Luongo actually is understanding that there is a potential threat on the far side of the post, and he actually cheats, which is the first time in NHL 13 you'll see actually goalies cheating to where they think the pass is going to go. He starts to cheat, which opens up his legs and actually opens up an opportunity. In 12, the goalie would have just been square and focused and probably given up that far side. As here's a great example of this on a 2-on-1. Always focus on the puck, which then opens up a great chance for a one-timer goal. This is also something that we know has been called out, pause it there, by the community of having consistently kind of the same goals happen over and over. And so in this example here, Jimmy Howard very subtle, but he'll start to recognize that there is a potential threat on the far side. He'll actually subtly shift his leg over, which opens up a short side opportunity. You would never see this goal in NHL 12. Watch the subtlety. He'll push right there, which opens up the short side. So that was the first part, positive. The second part is their ability to adjust their limbs, both arms and legs, after a shot has been taken. In NHL 12, once a shot was taken, they were pretty much committed. They were locked in. They couldn't adjust after. So we've added over 1,000 new animations in a whole new system that allows them to adjust their limbs independently, which really brings the goalies to life a lot more in a dynamic way. And you can see those saves like Tim Thomas seems to do pretty much every game, of reaching back and making those saves, those impossible saves outside. Let's take some examples. So this is NHL 12. As Stamkos takes this one-timer, the goalie's fully committed. He's locked into his one save. This is where you tend to see the same goals happen over and over because that's the same save that he could have. In NHL 13, as you'll see in this example, he'll actually start to anticipate. He'll start to move before the shot's taken. Once the shot's taken, he'll adjust, and he can move his arms, like I said, independently. This is a stick save. Once it's gone, he'll actually adjust his stick while the shot is taken and try to get a piece of it. We'll slow it down here so you can see. He's already moving, and he'll adjust and make that save. And if that shot was along the ice, he can actually throw his paddle down as well. That same play as the shot's taken. Much more dynamic, much more compelling, goaltenders, much more awareness. And lastly, when you change the player and goalie awareness, you also need the team systems to change. We've added 5 times more team systems that players can work with and play with, which adds a tremendous amount of depth to the overall strategy to the game. So, to capture the true flow of today's NHL, we have the all-new physics-driven skating system, True Performance Skating, that truly does capture the explosiveness, top-end speed, and momentum of today's NHL. And lastly, our EA Sports Hockey IQ that adds a depth and authenticity to our AI like we've never had before in our game. But that was just the gameplay overhauls. We have a tremendous amount of all-new connected hockey experiences and services, much more breadth and depth to our gameplay. Couple that with our gameplay overhaul, and we feel this is the biggest leap since '07 in the franchise, and that this game is a true game changer for us. And so with that, we'll open it up for questions and answers. I think Duke's going to take some of those questions for us.
Yeah. So the biggest question that's come up so far is the defense, right? Like, I know you guys called out the, that it won't be a breakaway fest, but maybe clarify exactly how speed, explosiveness, momentum can be used on the defensive end of the puck.
Yeah, so we're giving those tools to the puck here, but also to every player on the ice. So defense will have the same tools. So if you have a defenseman that is extremely fast, extremely agile, he can use those to his advantage. So in that case, a guy who's got great footwork, great top end speed, great acceleration, compare that to a fourth liner or someone like that who's a little bit slower, can dominate with his positioning by using those attributes as well. So the balance works both ways, both offensively and defensively, but it's really about creating those mismatches on higher skill levels, really managing your fatigue for each of the lines, catching a line tired, just like you see in the real NHL where you catch a tired line versus a fresh line on the ice. All those things factor into it. So it's really just bringing out the player differentiation of all the players on the ice, forwards, defensemen, everyone.
Yeah, and just to add to that, you think about, you look at someone like Duncan Keith, and I'll pick on Alberts from the Canucks. The difference for them to change their speed and control and their momentum is Duncan Keith can take a lot more chances. He has way better skating ability than Alberts. You'll notice that Alberts, when he sees a guy coming in fast, he actually will stop earlier to get his gap control so he doesn't get beat to the outside. where Duncan Keith can actually start to keep moving up and maybe take some more chances and anticipate. Why? Because he has the ability to get back faster. So it is that relationship between speed and control, that momentum, offense and defense. In 12, I know for a fact the way I play, there was no consequence of stepping up. There was no consequence of always trying to go in for the hit about getting back on defense, because everybody moved at the same speed. So once you stepped up and got caught, you could pretty much get back into the play.
I guess, and the one last thing I'll add to that is, with everything we've done with the skating this year, we've tried to make it predictable. So predictable is one of the things that we're really focused on. So when you see someone going into their top end speed with one hand on the stick, you know that their agility is going to be restricted, like we saw in the demo there. So you can plan around that. You can plan where you want to get to, knowing where he wants to get to and what his restrictions are around that. So it's really just like a real defenseman in real life. It's about reading the play, reading the player coming at you, reading the situation, and then acting accordingly based on all the factors you take in.
Questions around presentation improvements. Are there any? We know there are, so I don't know if you want to talk about them. I don't even know if you want to show.
Yeah, we can talk about it real quick. So one of the things that we focused on this year is, we spent all this effort on AI, trying to make the game play realistic, the AI play realistic whistle to whistle. But we wanted to extend that beyond the whistle as well. So the most noticeable thing in gameplay right now is you won't see us cutting to the non-interactive sequences like we've had in the past years. Now we actually cut to AI because the AI is acting intelligently. We can actually take the camera just like a true broadcast does and just cut to the player doing the appropriate action after the whistle. So the biggest change there from a gameplay, from a pace of play, from a presentation perspective is moving away from the scripted sequences to actual AI-driven sequences after the whistle.
Any new leagues that are coming in this year?
Status quo on the leagues for this year, but again, that's something that we're always looking at each and every year, just looking for different ways to reach new consumers out there.
You guys have anything?
Game Face, is it going to be integrated this year?
So we're focusing mostly on the gameplay here today. So I know there's lots of other questions you guys will have that we'll get to later on in the months to come.
Okay.
So we talked about goalies. There's obviously lots of concern about glitch goals. Do you want to talk to that, address it?
I'd love to talk to that. Glitch goals are something that I hear about all the time. You play online, and we spend so much effort in our gameplay each and every year. This year, the amount of effort we've put towards it has been incredible. And when we put the game out there and there is a glitch goal or a go-to goal or a goal or a play or a sequence that happens frequently enough that that's the best way to play the game, then all the great effort we put into making our gameplay as good as possible gets tossed out the window. It becomes a game of a guy trying to get to a spot and exploit the game versus the other guy trying to defend it, and it just kills gameplay. So when the goalies can't react to a specific save or stop the puck from going in a specific spot on the net, that hurts the entire gameplay experience for us. So our approach this year was twofold. It was, let's make the goalies as perfect as possible. So one of the things I want you guys to try at some point today is turning on perfect goalies. We want our goalies to be able to save anything at any time. So that way, when we put the game out to consumers and they do find something that they find is kind of the best way to score, that we can adjust via tuner sets like we've done in the past and plug any hole that we see. So we spend a lot of time just making our goalie as versatile, as flexible as possible, being able to save anything. Once we have a goalie who can save anything, it's easy to give goals back. But then once we get the game out there and there's millions of online games being played and we see tendencies in the way people play, we want that flexibility to be able to react with that quickly and plug it via tuner set. So that's been our approach with goalies this year. And I can't wait for you guys to start playing the game and seeing how different the goalies are this year. The amount of saves that they can make because of every limb, because of the anticipation factoring into the goalies this year. And you can score 5-hole goals, like legit 5-hole goals as well this year. So all that stuff, we feel we want to put a lot of effort into our goalies as well. But like I said, it would be all for naught if we put out a system that had glitch goals in it. So we want to be able to react in case there are anything to slip through.
How will the new goalie animations, the awareness affect guys who play as goalies in EA Sports Hockey League or be a pro or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're still working now that we have the goalie, kind of 95% of the way there. That's still something that we're working through the details of exactly how it's going to work. And if any of you guys play goalie, we'd love to get your feedback on that. Give it a try today.
Commentators, new commentators.
Bill and Gary will be in the game again this year.
Cool. New dialogue, I guess.
and enough said.
Yeah, and yeah, we bring them in every single year and just try and update the content as much as we can. The great thing about recording with Bill and Gary is they're such pros in the studio. We literally, the old school way of doing audio design and speech recording was to walk in there with a script of papers about this big, and the talent would kind of look at it, kind of flip through it, and be like, it's going to be a long day. And what we found is when you put a script of papers in front of a commentator, you're trying to turn them into an actor as opposed to leveraging what they're good at, which is being a commentator and reacting to stuff. So we've gone completely away from that. We get Bill and Gary in the booth now, and we just give them a context, and we'll say, give us 5 samples on Luongo anticipating and the puck going 5-hole because he was cheating. So it's, those guys in the booth have been incredible to work with.
How has the speed work impacted the physics when it comes to checking? Obviously, last year you brought in collisions with the goalies, collisions with the net.
Yeah, so we want the speed to factor in that. The great thing about the physics is it's real-world physics, because what we do is we don't make physics for hockey. What we do is we just model what would happen in the real world and then apply it to hockey. So a person going at top-end speed that is, 6'3", 6'4", 250 is going to pretty much run over anything in its path. So speed's just another element. Because we have more speed, more top-end speed in the game this year, you're going to see bigger hits if you catch a guy in the right situation. So again, once you guys start playing that today, you'll see how it's all coming together. But we want to see those big, strong guys be big, strong guys in the game and really make a difference. You have a fourth-line guy who dumps the puck in. If you get a chance to take a hit on the defenseman, we want that big, strong fourth-line guy to hit that defenseman, knock him over every single time. He has enough speed, depending on the size and strength of the D-man that he's hitting.
Yeah, and what makes so the concern would be you have someone who is 6'3", 250. All you need to do is go down the wing and cut in, and no one can handle them. And that's not the case. And it's really about even the smaller defensemen. It's about getting good body position and leveraging that speed and control. And as someone's going in and trying to cut in, you don't need much effort to put them off balance. You just need to be in good position and give them a little shot. You don't need to go in and step in and have this massive hit. You just need to guide them out. As you saw David Booth, the defenseman, he's a big, strong guy cutting in. Defenseman just guided him in and took him into the side of the net. So that's the stuff that it is a game within a game. It's about getting in good body position, and it's about making that hit. And when someone's cutting across the blue line at full speed and you catch them, you're going to see big hits, bigger hits like that this year, just because of the physics and the speeds that people are traveling at.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll add to that is because we focus so much on the predictability part. So when you see a guy, so the first thing we did when we got top-end speed in there is you want to go top-end speed all the time because you want to get the big hit on the guy because of how fast you're going. You expect to really hammer him. But as you use the puck here, you see that guy coming with one hand on the stick, going as fast as he can. You understand, you can read that his mobility is limited because of how fast he's going. And once he starts to veer one way or the other, you know that he can't adjust fast enough. So you almost, it's a game of cat and mouse. Recognize the speed he's coming at you with, see which way he's trying to anticipate you going. You go the other way and he's gone, has no chance of recovering. So again, the risk-reward, top-end speed, can't adjust, put yourself out of the play. So again, it's managing your speed.
Is there any new celebrations, animations?
No new celebration animations. We really focused on the 1,000+ animations, just really trying to nail the core experience, the skating specifically. So no new post-whistle celebrations for this year.
Can you talk at least top level of what GM Connected is?
Yeah, so GM Connected is a multi-user online dynasty that allows you to be the GM and play either a single-player experience or invite 29 of your closest friends anywhere around the world to play as part of that experience. And there's been other multi-user dynasties done before. The great thing about our multi-user online dynasty, or GM Connected, is you can play co-op play with your buddy, or you can have the OTP element as well. So you can be the GM, even if you're not a great Twitch player, but you're a manager type guy, you can do the managing and have 6 of your buddies play the games for you via OTP. So that's really the thing that sets us apart, and the big innovation for us in that space is the ability for you and your friends to be part of a single experience and play the way that you want to play. And I'll add one more thing to that. When we started talking about this mode early on, it was really about making this accessible to anybody, so that even if your buddies aren't, great Twitch players, but they still like hockey, they like the fantasy type sports, they like the managerial part of the game, they can still be part of this league with you and do as much or as little as they want. So because we've done so much with our AI, we wanted to expose that to users. So we have a feature called Build Your AI, which is part of GM Connected. And you can basically customize your AI so that if you're not a great Twitch player, your buddies in the league can play against your built AIs and get a flavor of the way that you want your team to play based on the way that you built it.
How will dangles be affected with the new speed?
Good question. Yeah, so we're working right now on just balancing the dekes, the quick dekes and the loose puck dekes with the speed. And obviously a big part of the success rate of that is going to be around the player differentiation, the attributes of the players trying to execute them. So obviously, a Crosby going at top end speed and trying to do a loose puck deke is going to be much more successful than name your fourth liner trying to do it the same deke.
Any changes to fighting?
Fighting remains first person. So we left fighting the way it was. We overhauled fighting to make it first person a couple of years ago. It serves the purpose of kind of capturing what our goal was back then, which was to make you feel what it feels like to be in the skates of an NHL tough guy. We wanted to get that first person view and kind of, as best we can, replicate what it feels like to get punched in the face. So we stuck with the first person for this year.
Have you guys done any work to sort of the trade logic and some of the issues that may have existed in the past there?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll get into more details down the road here, but I can't wait to tell you about the changes that we've made there. So I think people are pretty pleased with what we've done.
You guys have anything?
I saw earlier when you were skating with Stamkos, he had it on his one stick. And in 12, you had to do the left trigger or L2 to do that. Have you taken that out of the game now?
Yeah, so we're still playing with how to get to the top end speed. We wanted to make this. We wanted guys to get to their top end speed as easily as possible. So you'll see right now there's a couple of variations of the two-hand speed, and then we have the ability to go into the one-hand. We're still kind of 50-50 on whether or not we want that to happen automatic or not. So we're looking for feedback from you guys on that. The other thing that we're playing with that you guys will experience today is the ability to say, I want to get to my top end speed as fast as possible, but sacrifice, again, the risk reward, sacrifice my agility. And you get that by pressing down the L3. For a straight line, gets top end speed right away, but limit your mobility. So again, looking for feedback from you guys on that today.
But everything that you saw today was just the left analog. And then going backwards was the left trigger.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the creativity stuff that you saw, all the pivots, all those moves I did was literally just the left stick and the left trigger. So when you're the puck carrier, the left trigger is your back skate button.
It's different than in the past because you get up to speed a lot faster and your mobility is lessened because of that and the control you have. That's when we talked about the speed and control. You will, to get that quick burst left and right and have that kind of control, you want to get up there, get into a glide state, and then maybe make a cut, and then get up to top speed, then get into a glide and have more control. So that is truly what the flow of the NHL is. Most guys, unless there's a semi-breakaway or a chance, don't go top end speed from one end to the other. Usually they cut through the neutral zone, they have a bit of a glide, then they cut over and they get some more speed up. So we really wanted to capture what that's like to be out on the ice and truly capture that flow.
Anything else from you guys?
Yeah, has anything been done with the collisions? Like, can you collide with other players without having to initiate a check?
I can't remember where we are with that right now. So I'm going to say no for right now. But right now what we have in the build that you guys are playing today is the ability for you to occasionally hit your own teammate. It's something that we're playing with. Eventually we'll get to the point where everybody's live on the ice and just incidental contact. We'll have incidental contact. What we found, though, when we tried that in the past is that it really hampers the overall gameplay experience because there's so many collisions happening all the time. It just makes the game really sluggish. But it's something that we're playing with.
Can you get kicked out of Faceoffs this year?
No, you can't get kicked out of Faceoffs this year. But yeah, and the thing about that, I hear that all the time. The concern that we have around it, I think it's part of hockey. There's actually, if you get kicked out twice, there's actually a penalty that goes with it. I don't think I've seen that penalty called since the first year they put it in, and they called it in preseason once or twice. The concern around that is just, and you guys know this from playing online, it's just around the pacing of the game. We really want to keep the pace of the game up, be in gameplay as much as possible.
I have a big concern off the face-off, just the way it is now. You get a lot of guys, especially if you're playing 2s or 3s, which I realize it's kind of curious in here. I don't want to get punched, but they just mug the defenseman right off the face-off, and if you're in the offensive zone, and they're gone, and it's a game plan that works every time. So I was just concerned with how that's going to fit in with the new speed system.
Yeah, so we can take a look at that later on. We can walk through the specifics of that. We know that's definitely an issue and a tactic. Again, not a very authentic tactic. It's almost gaming the game, which is something that, as much as possible, we like to get away from, just because it's not real hockey, but it's just exploiting the system, right?
So just to add that, there's two ways you can do that. One is the AI is a lot smarter, or even the players. And unfortunately, if everyone's human controlled, they can do whatever they want. But AI controlled, they'll get into the lanes more. They won't allow people to come at you like that. And the second of all, if someone's screaming at you like that and you're standing still, a quick left, that's where the quick acceleration, the quick sidestep, you can actually get around where their momentum will be carrying them out. And that's kind of what I talked about before. There was no consequence to the momentum. There was no consequence of flying at somebody straight on, because once you could turn so quickly and you could immediately do something. And that's the thing. If someone comes straight at me with full speed, it's actually not that hard to do a quick step around them and actually have them fly by, right? So that's kind of the two ways that we're attacking that.
Cool. Rammer or Dean, is there anything you guys want to say to kind of close it off?
Well, we have one more question. We'll take one more question back.
Sure. Is the bubble around the net going to still be there? The force field?
Yeah, we want to. I don't like the bubble. So the reason why the bubble is there is to prevent exploit goals, guys, exploiting the ability to bump the goalie and score goals that we don't want to see going in. The flip side of that, though, is we want to, as much as we can, get rid of that bubble this year, which is something that we're playing with right now. I'd like to see it that there's no bubble at all. You can run the goalie anytime you want, and maybe just have a little bit of assistance. If we recognize that you're not going square at the goalie, but you're trying to veer away and trying to avoid, maybe let you avoid the goalie in that situation. But if you definitely want to hit the goalie, we should let you hit the goalie and call the penalty and just be authentic in that way. So that's something that we're looking at. Last year, the reason why we ended up with the bubble the way it was just to really try and prevent as many exploits around it.
You guys have anything else for now? No? Good. Anything you want to say before we...
Yeah, I'm just, for everyone watching and you guys in here, we're really, really excited about what we have this year with our True Performance Skating, EA Sports Hockey IQ, our GM Connected, and our NHL Moments Live. We think the package is going to be something that you guys really appreciate. Like Dean said, we think this is the biggest leap on this generation of console for us. So I'm excited for you guys to get your hands on it and start giving us some feedback. We're looking for a lot of things out of you guys today to really help us during the final stretch here. So I think we're going to, in case people missed the trailer, just kick it off. Let's play the trailer one more time to wrap things up.